Hey guys, Torsar here with another sports talk video, and yes, it's Sunday. The games are finally here. Can't wait. I got everything out of the way. Any chores, shopping, whatever I needed to do, it's out of the way. I could just sit back, relax, enjoy the games, and I hope you all did that too. Nothing's to worry about nowadays. Some craziness going on. Like that. Just to keep it to pure sports, that Lakers game last night, like what is that? I might make a video on that. We'll see. Some of these topics, they're kind of in the moment ones. I did the championship game preview yesterday. Obviously, after this next stretch, a couple of days, probably no one's going to want to watch that. If you want to watch it after the games are over, just to see how I did, you want to watch it tomorrow, whatever it is, just to say, hey, does this guy even have any clue what he's talking about? Some of these other videos, on the other hand, when I do these debate videos, the great debates, those are going to be more of long-term investments. You could go back and watch them at any point. Please feel free. I think anyone, just for even clicking on a video, like I've said before, for even 1 second, all I can do is put the videos out there and see if people are enjoying with them. The people are always talking about the YouTube algorithm. Well, the number one driver of that and the first factor is your viewership. You guys push the algorithm. Obviously, it's my job to pay attention to what's working, what's not working. But you know what? There's some days I'm going to make a video with the full understanding. It may only get, half the views, a quarter of the views that normally. But you know what? The alternative is just to not make a video that day. I can't have a subject every day. If I do some of these debates, everything, I'd run out of topics. So that being said, I promise I'm constantly looking at that stuff, constantly watching videos on how to improve, trying to learn stuff. So trying to do my best, but let's get started with what I actually want to talk about today, and that's who will have the better career, Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow. Now, I'd just like to say we're lucky to even be able to talk about this, because for a little while, never mind the fact that Tom Brady's still around, he's an aberration. I think once he gets to a certain point, Peyton Manning retired, Drew Brees retired, sorry. I don't think he really has any contemporaries. Don't give me Aaron Rodgers. The guy won in a long, long ago galaxy in a time far, far away. He's always been, maybe you could say he's this generation's Peyton Manning, because he's had a ton of regular season success and only won it once. I know Peyton won it twice, but how many people are really, he was along for the ride in that last one. We all knew it. He was the most glorified game manager of all time. And I mean that with all due respect. There are arguments to be made, and some people still make them to this day. And this is where you start getting into semantics, that he was the best quarterback of all time. Not the greatest. I try to make that argument between Michael Jordan and LeBron James, that LeBron James has had a better career, in my opinion. But Michael Jordan is still the greatest basketball player of all time. And I think sometimes we just glob greatest into who had the best career. And some people swear to this day Dan Marino is the best passer of the football, the best QB quarterback that they've ever seen. And if you look back, the Miami Dolphins, they were playing this style of football, this era's style of football, all the way back in the 80s and the 90s. I would love to see what he would do in today's NFL with some of these offensive coordinators. It would truly be amazing, and I think that's where you can go back a generation or two generations now, where that was the 80s and 90s. It was who's better, Marino or Elway. Now you had Montana. It always seems to be there's two AFC quarterbacks and then a guy in the NFC, right? Or maybe even two. You had Aikman, Montana. Steve Young took over for San Fran, and he was in that conversation. But I think the two best, it was always, in the AFC, who's better, Marino or Elway? And Elway ended up having the much better career. He got to the Super Bowl so many times. Marino just got there his first year and then unbelievably never even sniffed it again. It's kind of crazy to think about. And then you go another generation forward. We were lucky that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, of course, like I said, you had Drew Brees. You had your Brett Favre as kind of that bridge player that everyone liked. And look, people loved him so much, and now look at him. What a scumbag. But anyway, Peyton Manning, some people still say, despite how many Super Bowls Tom Brady won, no, he's the best QB I've ever seen. Now, there comes a point where the postseason just has to count for something. And you can make all the arguments you want about, oh, Tom Brady got lucky, he had the best kicker of all time. He played in New England. Maybe he has better numbers with a better, more offensively minded team. I mean, look at that one year in 2007. I know they didn't win it, but look at what he had, a great wide receiver. I mean, he put up unbelievable numbers. Now you skip forward another generation, and it was kind of looking grim for a little while. Patrick Mahomes kind of came out of nowhere. No one saw that. People were even questioning at the time whether he should replace Alex Smith. And then, he has success very quickly. He's got kind of a head start on Joe Burrow. I think that's been nullified, though, with the Bengals' success versus the Chiefs since they've had Burrow. I know Burrow missed that 1 year with the ACL injury, which was unfortunate. Please, these guys, I hope they stay healthy the rest of the year, or the rest of their careers, so that injuries never play a factor into this discussion. Because I think I could probably make this video just about every year, and it would still be interesting going forward. Also, I think Joe Burrow has an advantage in that his coach is very young. I think they'll be together probably their whole careers. We often see these coach QB combos. They're kind of tied together at the hip. Obviously, the coach has much more longevity. If you look at a guy like Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, he's going to be coaching probably for years to come, or at least involved in football, whereas Ben Roethlisberger is already done and gone. If you held my feet to the flames and made me pick right now, I'm going to say I think Joe Burrow is going to have the better career. I always have looked at Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have to do something. He's kind of, to me, the Steph Curry of football, an amazing player, but he's just getting by on making these unorthodox plays, kind of these plays where it's like, oh, what are you doing? Just like Steph takes these like deep threes that are usually, that's a bad shot in basketball, but because it's Steph Curry. Now, I thought because of his stature that was going to kind of catch up to him. But you know what? I'll admit it. So far, Steph Curry has proved me wrong. He's 34 years old. He's still one of the best players in basketball. I still wouldn't make him top 10 of all time. But you know what? That's a different discussion for another day. So saying that, Patrick Mahomes is definitely going to have to reinvent himself a little bit more than I think Joe Burrow has. And to go back to the coaching thing, how long is Andy Reid really going to be able to coach? I love Andy Reid, man. He's such a great guy. He's so funny. He's in the discussion. He's on, I'll just say it, he's one of the 5 best coaches of all time. People may not think of him like that, but if you look at the success he had in Philadelphia, I mean, these guys, you had to go through Philly during the mid-2000s. You had to go through them every year. Now, they never actually pulled it out. That one Super Bowl, they were a Terrell Owens ankle injury away. I'll go down to my grave saying if Terrell Owens' ankle had been healthy for that game, they win that Super Bowl. That's just the way it goes sometimes. You could say the same thing for Patrick Mahomes. He's got the one Super Bowl loss, and you just saw him running for his life that whole game because he had no offensive line. So as far as that goes, those guys are tied as far as Super Bowl losses. They've each got one. Now, Patrick Mahomes has a Super Bowl victory. But if the Bengals win this year, now it's tough because let's just say they win, they beat the Chiefs, but then they lose to the Eagles or the 49ers in the Super Bowl. So he still wouldn't have a Super Bowl victory, but he'd be 4-0 in his career versus the Chiefs. Two of them being in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl. As far as head-to-head, Patrick Mahomes would really have to have a lot of success. He'd probably have to win at least one more, and Joe Burrow never win one to be considered a better QB than Joe Burrow. He's gonna have to. I know like I said, he has the head start. This is the 5th year in a row they've been to the championship game. There's nothing Joe Burrow can do about that. I don't know. It's going to be a good one. We're lucky to be having this discussion. Let's see who kind of, comes to the forefront in the NFC and becomes that NFC guy, the one or two guys. I know, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Let's just forget about those guys. If their careers aren't done, they're just about to be done. I'm talking about guys their careers are going to kind of run parallel with these two. Is it going to be Jalen Hurts? Is he just a system quarterback? And I hate to even say that because I don't think he is just a system. I think that Philly has just put the right pieces around him and are using him the right way. And I think you could say that about any QB. The days of just the pure pocket passers, just always taking a 5 or a 7-step drop and then going through their progressions. I think those days are done. The offensive lines, they're just so hard to keep together. And I think the offensive line at any position is hurt more with the reduced amount of practice time teams can have in the offseason. I've heard offensive linemen like Mark Schlereth talk about that before, that in their days they were more of a chain. That chain was just a solid chain, and the offensive line needs to be like that. They are a chain out there on the field, and everyone knows the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If you have one guy just constantly getting beat, it won't matter if the other 4 are very staunch. Also, the way tight ends are used nowadays, it just makes it harder to protect the quarterback. So is it going to be Jalen Hurts? Is it going to be a guy like Justin Fields if Chicago can actually put some pieces around him? Is it going to be Brock Purdy? I'm probably just forgetting someone off the top of my head. Either way, if I am, let me know what you guys think. The games today, they're going to be great. I just know it. I have a feeling. There's not going to be any blowouts. There's going to be something to talk about tomorrow. So like I said, enjoy the games. I'll go over them tomorrow. And as always, if you got this far, thank you so much. Stay healthy. Peace.